Well, good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of the Bobby Brown Show on the go. Today was Fire Palooza, Fire Fest. We had two prominent, dominant news reporters, so-called news reporters, who at the top of the game, I guess, get fired in the middle of a brand new week. Let's go to the first one. We're going to talk about the first person that got fired today. Tucker Carlson. That's right, Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson ousted at Fox News following network's $787 million settlement. This is from NPR. Fair use, fair use. Now, I would play that, but I'd probably get copyright strike. NPR sucks. So I'm just going to leave it there. In a store 4-sentence statement, Fox News announced Monday that primetime star Tucker Carlson is leaving the network effective immediately. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. The network said in a statement released by a spokesperson, "We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor." Fox said Carlson, and you know he was a contributor. Then they gave him his own show. So he was on, I think he was on the morning show. But let me keep going. Fox Media News. Fox said Carlson's last day hosting the show was Friday, April 21st. Susan Scott and Lachlan Murdoch, the chief executives of Fox News and his parent company, Fox Corporation, respectively, had decided Carlson's fate on Friday, a source with knowledge told NPR. Yet, even after Fox released this statement on Monday morning, you got to wait all the way to Monday to tell somebody. You fired the man Friday. At least you have him do the last show on Friday, and you're going to wait till Monday to tell him. Carlson had signed off Friday's show by wishing viewers the best weekend and telling them he'll be back on Monday. He did not respond to a request for comment for NPR. The ouster of Fox top opinion host comes less than a week after Fox settled an epidemic defamation lawsuit by an election technology company for more than $787 million. Dominion Voting System sued over a segment of promoting bogus claims that election fraud cheated then President Donald Trump of victory in 2020. Carlson featured in a Dominion Voting System lawsuit, yet he is also the focus of the lawsuit from his former senior booking producer, Abby Grossberg, who filed two separate suits. Producers suing Carlson for sex discrimination celebrates his departure. In a lawsuit filed in anyway, this is just somebody just want to gloat in the man being fired. All right, so we're going to talk about this a little bit, and it bears to understand what could be really going on in this situation. Tucker Carlson has been blowing people away in the past 3 years since COVID. I don't know if the COVID shaked his head or not. I don't know if coughing cleared his brain, but he's been talking about some issues that are very serious, such as forcing people to take the the shutdowns, and more recently, free speech and Russiagate. Free speech and Russiagate. And look, let's make no, I'm not gonna play around this. Tucker Carlson has he has white supremacist tendencies, and all day he looked like a bigot. All day, his talking points of bigotry, all day. But he is an absolute free speech person, and he is not on the side of censoring speech or trying to control people's speech or trying to use misinformation to try to shut people up. And This is one of the reasons why I personally believe Tucker Carlson got fired. Tucker Carlson would have Democrats on the show, something CNN would rarely do. They would rarely have a Republican commentator or a Republican come on the show and talk about democratic matters or social matters. But Tucker Carlson would have people like people from the gray zone, Jimmy Dore, people like that on his show. Even Bernie Sanders have been on the Fox News, but you don't see that in other legacy media. So Tucker Carlson being the number one news show, and he did that strategically by playing in the middle, pulling and attracting viewers from the left and from the right by playing in the middle, which most of Fox News don't do that anymore. Heck, even more progressive or more democratic media, democratic power media, don't go to the center. They stay over to the left. So this made Tucker Carlson popular. Now, I believe a recent broadcast of Tucker Carlson, not the fact that Tucker Carlson mentioned this Dominion lawsuit, mentioned how he don't believe it, but he's going to report it anyway. I have no problem with that. I'm going to report it. Now, I'm not going to say I think it could be something to it, and I don't think there's something that could be to it. Because most people in media have a public persona and a private persona. Me, I think that's a bad way to do business. To one minute be, I tell you just like it is when it comes to me. Certain things I like me. I like my lady straight. So natural born woman. So don't come to me, and you can get upset all you want, because I won't look at you, and I'm not attracted to you, and I don't sense, natural woman aura from you. Don't get mad at me. I'm not. I'm a no filter dude. I can see stuff, and so I'm just that type of person. Not saying you don't have the right to be who you are, the right to call yourself who you are. I would address you how you want to be dressed. But at the end of the day, you don't control my thought, my thinking, the way I believe, and the way I operate. You don't do that. And I'm not going to try to do that to you. So stand back. See, I'm that type of guy. I'm not going to have a personal persona up on this camera. Have one persona and a personal behind the camera. I'm not. I don't. I'm not. I think one of the biggest threats to the Black community was the abortion movement hit the Black community, targeted the Black community. Margaret Sanger target the Black community to try to cut the Black numbers down. Abortion was pretty much pushed to cut Black numbers down. So I'm not a fan of Black people getting abortion, but I'm not saying they don't have a right to. That's up to them. I'm just not for it. I think we could have been the majority if we didn't fall for that. So that's just my personal belief. So I'm not going to give you a personal persona one way and private persona. You're not going to get that, but we got people in media that does that. And Tucker Carlson in this particular news reporting on the Dominion system. Now, let me tell you how I believe I believe it's faulty. I believe it's shaky. They can be hacked from a little kid. You can go look it up on YouTube. You got a little kid hacking into the Dominion voting machines. Not saying the system, but the machines. I myself, all the time when I go vote, I got to put my thing in 1, 2, 3 times. Sometimes I don't know if I voted for the person who I wanted to vote for or not. I don't know. I have no way to prove it, but I'm skeptical. I'm thinking I'm voting for this person, and I probably voted for this person one time and it didn't go through. So I got to put it again and again. And I don't know if I really voted for that person or not. That's my personal dealing with the Dominion voting system. But Dominion hit them hard with the lawsuit, and that's a big $700 million. It's almost $1 billion. So they're going to take a price cut somewhere, and they can't cut all their shows. So I guess they're going to cut the most popular show that they have, hoping somebody can grab the ball and run with it. And I don't think nobody's going to be able to grab the ball and run with it, because Tucker Carlson is a libertarian view of things, and oftentimes right-wing extremist views. Oftentimes he is open in some areas that a person like me can work with. I like my bigotry up front. nice, right in my face. I don't like that slick slide stuff because I can deal with you when you're right in my face. So in this particular, I believe this particular interview of Tucker Carlson really put the nail, hit the hammer on a nail right on the top of the head and drove it all the way through. Sure, they was using. I got a feeling they wanted to cut Tucker Carlson off, but they have to have a valid reason to cut him off. They knew he was bringing in the money, yet they knew they can't afford to give him more money when his contract is up. So they have to find some kind of way to put the blame on him. I don't think it was the Dominion issue and the lawsuit that got him fired. I think it was this interview.
Crimes committed by their political allies and their relatives. But for their critics, there is no such mercy. For the first time in our history, the government has begun to arrest people for saying things the White House doesn't like. That's the end of the First Amendment. Speech that's been protected for centuries in the United States is no longer protected. It's now a criminal act. We've told you about the grotesque.
Now, this is bad. And I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and they was talking about if they're going after Matt Tibby, we all lose. My whole point was, look, they've been going after black people and putting them in black sites and arresting them and killing them for the longest time. Somebody going to jail for whistleblowing or for free speech is not nothing new to me, because we get hit hard for all that. We never had 100% freedom in that area as a black community. We can't just say what we want to say. We can't just do what we want to do. We can't even target people like we want to target when it comes to campaigning and stuff like that and trying to defeat them in certain areas. We can't. So talking about a whistleblower and what they're going to experience is nothing compared to just a regular person who get hit for something that they said, did, or whatever. And in this case, you got our political leaders that's trying to use misinformation, Russiagate, taking money from foreign countries. Let me tell you something. If somebody in a foreign country want to give me money, why is that anybody else's business? Why is that the United States business? Don't mean I'm doing something with them. Don't mean I'm stealing spy secrets or nothing like that. What crime is it for somebody? I can give money, and we do, through our tax dollars, to all these countries on a regular basis, such as Israel. We're doing the Ukraine right now. We can give them money. A government agency can give them money, but they don't get locked up. But as soon as somebody give us some money, they want to try to lock up. If it's an enemy or somebody that they fear or antagonist against, if somebody from that community or from that government give us money, they think we're in cahoots with them. But when they give people money, those people are not in cahoots with them. But let me get into this, okay?
Unconstitutional prosecution and then conviction of Douglas Mackey. The DOJ is trying to send Mackey to prison for a decade for making fun of Hillary Clinton's voters on Twitter. The media barely report the story. They don't seem to care at all. They seem to.
Now, if that's true, we all doomed. Because I joke Hillary Clinton supporters. I joke Donald Trump supporters. This is America, people. This is America. I have the free speech. Either you don't listen to me and turn. Like there's this tether, this Jamaican guy just talking about, oh, you don't deserve reparations and you need to get back on a plane. Fool, your family came here on a plane. How you gonna tell me I'm not lineage here? And then this not against Jamaicans. This just is one person. See, a tether is a Jamaican who sit there and undermine the people who help him get into this country. That if it wasn't for us rallying to have laws changed for other people to come into this country, he wouldn't have never got here. And yet he's eating from the table of what we built. Yet he wants to crap on us all day. And I'm going to be showing videos of that because I'm going to call that, I'm going to have the a coon of the week. Cayenne, excuse my language, a raccoon, a Cayenne animal of the week. And I'm going to be bringing these people up. because you're undermining the progress. So you got people like that. Now, I don't know how I got off on this, but the bottom line is, what's wrong with saying something about a supporter or saying something about a political leader? This is not Nazi Germany. We talked about Trump is going he's a Nazi and he's going to turn this to the third right. We got Joe Biden in there doing the same thing. You're going to arrest a person or try to get somebody locked up because he mocked Hillary Clinton supporters? Now, I haven't really gone in to verify what Tucker Carlson say, but if that's true, then this is not good. Let me keep going.
Endorse it. No one in Congress has meaningfully pushed back against it. So this trend continues. The latest group of Americans to find their constitutionally protected opinions become felonies are, believe it or not, an organization of black nationalist left-wingers who oppose the war in Ukraine. The DOJ has just charged many in this group with seeking to, quote, sow discord, spread pro-Russia propaganda, and interfere in elections within the United States.
Now, let me stop there. Folks, you run this country. This country is yours. It's not the political leaders. You got to get people out. You got to let them know that the only reason they got power is because of you. Tucker Carlson, a person who I know don't have the black community best interest at heart. I know it. But I got to give him credit for this, that he is talking about these issues. You got the federal government that's going to be that's targeting organizations and even individuals, claiming sowing discord. Sowing discord is a crime? We've always been, America is founded on discord. America weaved the fabric, is the nail in the doggone thread, weaving discord from the moment we started this country. When our so-called forefathers said we're not even 3/5 of a human being, black people. When they considered us a property and built businesses off us as properties. And yet you want to get mad when somebody talk about reparations. Sowing discord. So we're going to lock you up because you're dividing the country. How are we dividing the country? No, you the one dividing the country. You the one with this blue versus red and blue MAGA versus red MAGA and absolute Trumpists and absolute Bidenists and all this bull crap. I don't like none of you. So you're going to throw me in jail? I don't support none of you. Because you'll use my support and then even further divide this country. Spread pro-Russia propaganda. What is pro-Russia propaganda? You're going to arrest me and say I'm spreading pro-Russia propaganda. What is the propaganda that I'm sowing? And propaganda, folks, is nothing but talking points that's designed to steer people's minds in a certain direction. That's a short name for propaganda. And interfere in the election within the United States. How? So I'm telling you, I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Trump. I'm interfering in the election. I'm not going to vote. I'm interfering in the election within the United States. When we, as a country, has sowed more discord in other countries, spreading more propaganda in other countries, interfering in the election of other countries, we even killed their leaders. So who in the hell is the United States to be pointing a finger and trying to prosecute people for doing stuff? Let's say if people did, regular individuals, who the hell are you hypocrite? You do that all the time. You spread misinformation on China. You're spreading information on Africa. You're spreading information on everybody. But claiming that you're the absolute truthist. Are you kidding me?
Now, there's no evidence they interfered with any election. You're allowed to be pro-Russia. You're allowed to be pro-anything you want in the United States. Saying things the government doesn't like.
Before Tucker go, America is full of Russians. I live in New York. One of the biggest Russian communities is in Long Island City. Here in the Bronx, one of the biggest Russian communities is over here in Parkchester. How the heck you gonna say Russian propaganda? Oh, boy, I'm sorry.
Having unfashionable opinions or opinions that are out of step with Joe Biden's opinions, that is not a crime.
No.
You can spread pro-Russia propaganda if you want to. You can spread anti-Russia propaganda if you want to. You can say whatever you want.
Yes.
But not anymore.
Now, I don't agree with Tucker on a whole bunch of things, but I agree with him on that. This is the United States. You have the freedom of speech, or you're supposed to have the freedom of speech. Now, I'm not saying you go to the airport and you say something stupid like, yo, man, this food's the bomb. People going to hear the bomb part, and they ain't going to hear the food is the bomb. They're going to hear the bomb, and TSA going to come get you up out of there. You can't say certain things or fire in the movie theater, but you still got free speech. I can have my opinion of a group or organization. Me having an opinion, even though that organization may not like my opinion, they should not have the authority to charge me for it. I live in New York. They've changed the laws concerning the LGBTQ community that you could be penalized and maybe criminalized if you don't watch what you say to one. Now I'm going to talk about a little more about that stuff, about free speech and how you execute your free speech on my Rumble channel, because this channel ain't gonna let me do it. Yeah, because some of this stuff is getting crazy. It's just getting crazy. Some of this stuff is downright bullish now. I had a lady bully me because I'm pro-life. I'm pro-life. I don't want no. I had a beautiful son. Today is the day that he passed away a long time ago. I missed him. If I had a chance to have another child, I would. I enjoyed being a dad. I'm not one of these Negroes that say, hey, yo, shorty, I know, man, I know I hit them skins, but I ain't really had no baby. I'm not that dude. I love being a father. And if you, the girl who I got pregnant, and you said, look, I ain't ready to have no baby, I got my career, I'm going to talk you out of it. I'm going to do my best to talk you out of it. And if you don't want to take care of the child, have the baby and let me take care of the child. Don't get rid of it. There's no reason to get rid of a child. If you don't want it, somebody else want it. That's my opinion. And I should be entitled to my opinion. You don't want it, somebody else want it. Somebody like me wants to have another child. Some people can't have another child. But some people getting rid of their babies all willy-nilly because, I got drunk and I woke up next to this dude and now I'm pregnant by his baby. Or Chuck broke up with me and Chuck know I got a child. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the child now since Chuck ain't gonna be in my life. Chuck don't want to be with you now. You want to get rid of this child. Some of this stuff is just foolishness. Now look, there's situations where some people feel that they have to, and I get it. But some of this stuff is just foolishness. But I'm gonna talk about that on another channel. Anyway, let me get back to this. This is America. I can call Jim Crow Joe Beanbag Head Joe Biden, old Rumpelstiltskin looking red face, orange face, Donald Trump. I should be able to say all those things. I should be able to say, oh, superstar, Pro Bowl linebacker, Simone Sanders. Sugar Bear, can't get enough of that Golden Crisp Sugar Bear cereal eating Roland Martin. I should be able to say all that stuff.
According to the indictment, the criminals in question, quote, wrote articles that contained Russian propaganda and disinformation. Huh? They also gave speeches and posted videos that annoyed the State Department. Here's one of them.
There's a discussion about Russian military border buildup on its border with Ukraine, and how this represents a terrible threat to Ukraine by Russians. But there is no acknowledgement of the history that took us to this place, how the U.S. overthrew, participated in facilitating the overthrow of a government in Ukraine that was friendly to the Soviet Union. Nor does it talk about the history of this relationship between Ukraine and Russia. This is an...
Now, I got a red and black curtain out there. They're probably thinking I'm down with these people. I'm not down with these people. Oh, didn't I see you with a red, black curtain like that, man? What's up with your microphone? It got red and black on there. What's your headphones? You down with them boys? We need to go look at Rob. Rob don't know these people. Rob support these people, free speech. They're talking about a lot of things that Rob do support, whether you like it or not, and that's America. Well, something suspect with this guy. Why he got a real military stuff? Did you say that when Michael Jackson was wearing it? Get out of here with this stuff, man. But let's listen to what he's saying now. This guy was talking about Ukraine and how we're not really telling the truth about Ukraine. And if you try to say something about Ukraine, they're going to censor you. If you're not going to say the talking points of the left when it concerns to pro-Ukrainian, talk on supporting the war, they're gonna try to minimize your ability to say something against the war, like they doing this brother. You never seen these videos, but these videos been on YouTube. They blocked them.
Facilitating the overthrow of a government in Ukraine that was friendly to the Soviet Union. Nor does it talk about the history of this relationship between Ukraine and Russia. This is an ongoing aggression. It did not just start. It's been going on for a while, but the U.S. government relies on the ignorance of the people in this country and much of the world that's facilitated by people like Zuckerberg.
What's wrong with that? So a person tell the truth, or a person tell his version of the truth, you think that's wrong, and we need to get him up out of here. He's spreading misinformation. Folks, misinformation spreading has always been around. You got truth and you got the lie. A lie is just misinformation. You don't know what it is until you dig for yourself, whether it's the truth or whether it's a lie. To stop misinformation means you're going to have to criminalize people lying. And how do you criminalize people lying? How can you do that? Because the people who want to say that these people lying are liars themselves. Everybody lies. It's part of our nature. And the reason for lying is people fear telling the truth. What's going to happen if I tell the truth? Man come home, he been cheating on his wife. He ain't going to tell his wife because he fear he's going to lose her. And he should. He should. This government lies all the time, but you want to prosecute somebody for lying, what you call misinformation. I tell some stuff about back in the day about the COVID treatments and stuff like that. I show evidence. I have receipts to back it up, and you want to call me a misinformation spreader. But you just sit here and listen to somebody on TV. They're not showing you no kind of receipts. You're going to say they are truth tellers. But you're going to try to get me shut down because I'm telling you, you still can catch the virus even if you get vaccinated. And here he is, Rachel Maddow up there talking about, no, you can't. It's done. Once you get it, it can't touch you. That was a lie. That was misinformation. Proven. Backed up. But when you come look at my stuff and look at the data from the research agencies, especially when it comes to pill form, ivermectin, all that kind of stuff, You want to say I'm spreading misinformation.
So, for whatever it's worth, we're not really sure who that guy is. We know he's American. Pretty sure that on a lot of issues, we likely would not agree with him. A lot of what he just said in that video seems to be true.
Tucker Carlson,
but even
if
it
who
weren't
this
true,
guy is.
even if he was wrong, it would still be constitutionally protected speech. In a free country, which we had until recently, you are allowed by definition to have dumb opinions. Most of us do, but not anymore. So that man you just saw is facing 10 years behind bars for expressing views about Ukraine that the Biden administration doesn't want to hear. That's terrifying. Does no one else think that's terrifying? It is terrifying. And to that man's credit, whoever he is, he saw it coming. Here he is at a rally last month.
Now, Tucker Carlson, this is one of the reasons why they claim that's the reason why he got involved with that lawsuit and why he was in trouble with the lawsuit. It's because he's doing the same thing. Acting like he don't know, but he really know. He knows this guy. He don't agree with him, but he knows who he is. He was like, look, I don't know that guy. You do, Tucker. You're lying. I appreciate you standing up for his free speech. But come on, dog. Your lying is getting the best of you and probably cost you your job. And I believe this video is too.
They have declared that black people are so stupid that it takes Russians to tell us that we are oppressed. I have never known a moment of black freedom for my entire life. I have never read of a moment since the beginning of a colonial mode of production where black people have been free. And yet they're saying that we are agents of some foreign power because we say black people must be free.
Okay, again, we're not defending.
Now, these talking points been going on since the civil rights movement. They tried to pin that stuff on Elijah Muhammad. They tried to pin that stuff on Marcus Garvey. They tried to pin that stuff on Malcolm X. They tried to pin that stuff on Martin Luther King, calling them communists, call them lovers of China. All this stuff is old stuff, and they still saying the same things to do. They went and invaded that brother house. Didn't find anything. Unconstitutionally just went into his house and ripped his house in shreds. Look it up. Looking for any kind of documentation on documents to prove their case that he's working with Russia, and they could not find any. Yet, he didn't cause them, he didn't ask for their jobs, he didn't ask for them to be prosecuted. I don't think he got a lawsuit. He should. Because you just violated his privacy. All because he's a black man that don't walk according to your beat. And they got to humiliate black people, especially black men, if they don't walk the beat of the left wing, the beat of progressivism, the beat of liberalism, and likewise on the right. If you're not walking the beat of the black Republican, the black conservative viewpoints, you're considered outcast. You can't be in the middle. They hate people in the middle. You either left side or right side.
That guy because we agree with all of his views. We probably don't. That is totally irrelevant. Whether you agree with what someone is saying has nothing to do with his right to say it. Americans are allowed to say what they think is true, period. If they take that right away, you are no longer a citizen, you are a slave.
Now, Tucker Carlson is absolutely right on this. And I'm not a fan of Tucker Carlson. And I kind of get upset when I see people who know Tucker Carlson is a bigot. You know he's a bigot, Thor. You know he has white supremacy issues. You know he's been on the wrong side of black empowerment for a long time. You know he's real snarky and smart alecky when it comes to black issues and black pushing for reparations and things like that, equality economically. And he'll pick one of a few blacks and say, you're doing good. And it ain't got nothing to do with the majority of us. So we know Tucker Carlson is no friend of black people, but he is a friend in the aspect that he supports what we support. And see, I can get along with you and I can even partner with you in that case, but I'm still looking at you on side eye to keep that goal intact. I'm with you. This is what you call compromising. When you do a ceasefire, you put your feelings to the side and you have a common goal to get a certain thing done. Free speech is necessary in this country. This was what this country was built on. This is the reason why they so-called came from England and went to this country that was already founded, that already had people here, that already had black people here, that's been trading back and forth, black people with black natives from Africa back and forth. A lot of black indigenous people were already here. The settlers came here in the efforts of free speech and freedom of religion. At least that's what they say. But they sure didn't exercise that sucker when they got here. Like, you can't say, shut up, darky, pick up that tea and put it on that boat. Well, not all that fair for us. And shut up, dark Indians. You know, they showed those Indians in the Tea Party. You know, most of those Indians were black. They ain't gonna tell you that, but that's another story. Yeah. Tucker Carlson have been on a rampage recently of speaking truth about some matters and standing up against the federal government and any news agency that pushes propaganda that goes against our Constitution, against the Second Amendment, against the First Amendment, against freedom of speech. He is absolutely right. You should have the ability to say whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say, however you want to say it, without being labeled a criminal, a bad guy, a misinformationalist, anti-free speech. Or, you know, so I honestly believe this is one of the daggers that really got them, that Tucker Carlson, we let you say whatever you say, but the nerves of you to defend a black socialist, he don't have a freedom to speak. He have no freedom to speak this socialism. Yeah, he do. You ain't got to agree with it. And Tucker's right. You don't like it, close your ears and walk away. But don't go try to get that man prosecuted because he don't think like you think or believe like you believe. You're not going to get people like that. We're not you. And we don't want to be you, because honestly, you got some problems. But I believe this is the reason why Tucker Carlson got fired. I believe the Dominion issue is the scapegoat. The money is just too much. We can't pay Tucker Carlson. We can't pay Tucker Carlson a new salary. He already in the hot water with this thing. We just gonna let him go. He's gonna be fine. He's done made plenty of freaking money off us. He's a filthy rich man, and he'll probably get his own show or probably go on his own network just like the rest of them. Well, he'll probably be press secretary for Donald Trump or somebody, even though he claimed he don't like Donald Trump. But yeah, I agree with him in this instant, and I believe this is one of the reasons why he got fired. I believe the Dominion court case is just a scapegoat. It's just the final straw or something publicly they can use as a reason of getting Tucker Carlson fired. They can't use that he defended the black socialists. Can't say, or the black communists. They can't use that as the reason to fire him, because they're making them look like a bunch of bigots, which a lot of Fox News are a bunch of bigots. Yeah, I said it. They're thinking is bigotry. Can't use that. So gotta use this. It's just not feasible to be dealing with this lawsuit and then paying you your salary. So the best thing to do to save face is to bid you adieu. I know you're gonna do great, Carlson. You got plenty of money. Just relax, enjoy your family, and you ready. Start your own show. Start your own network. And who knows, he probably do that. Anyway, that's it for this particular segment of the Bobby Brown Show. I'm going to go to another story. Give me a moment. And this one is just important. Don Lemon bootlick, butter biscuit, gay first, LGBTQ first, no black first. He's gay first. At the end of the day, bro, you're still black. I don't care who you love, how you love, or whatever. They ain't got nothing to do. Cops ain't thinking about none of that stuff when you around. Or that neighbor, you go knock on their door and you're a black man and he look in the peephole and see your black behind that. He ain't gonna say, okay, he's cool, he's gay, I'm not gonna shoot him. Man, you go walk up on the wrong door, you go in the wrong neighborhood, you say the wrong thing at the wrong time. These people ain't gonna be looking at your gayness. Don Lemon. They're going to look at your blackness. Well, Don Lemon says he has been fired from CNN. Lemon has been at the center of a string of controversies over the air comments and treatment of female colleagues. I mean, he's been doing that for a while, man. 1 minute he gay, 1 minute he's slopping old Kathy Griffin down, looking at her breast, trying to get him some. You ain't all that gay, bro. Get a little drunk, man. You go straight heterosexual, man. Or at least bisexual. You ain't all that gay. Don has said a lot of things. He has said a lot of things to undermine the black community. He's dogged heterosexual men and treated them like trash and said horrible things like them. He sided with the media when it comes to situations like Bill Cosby and all that. I mean, he's just not a big supporter of the black heterosexual male. So, as you know, the black heterosexual male community have not been fond of Don Lemon for a long time, and and his bromance with Anderson Cooper and his bromance with the governor Cuomo's brother. But let's look at this. Don Lemon was terminated from his anchor role at CNN. He announced Monday. He announced it. The news came after Variety published a story this month about allegations that he mistreated his female colleague over his career there. And earlier this year, he faced backlash over widely criticized comments he made on the air. Now, understand this. Don't get beside yourself. Okay, he mistreated females. He mistreat males too. He mistreat them too. He mistreat his black community. He ignores them. Oftentimes don't want to be dealing with them if he didn't have to. Something about these people in news media, these black brothers, they end up getting them a white man, let alone a white woman. They end up getting a white man. Like I said, each is on. You love who you love, but when you start thinking that, forgetting about where you came from and you trying to not identify as one of us and stuff like that, and you figure you made it and stuff like that, come on. Jonathan Capehart, Don Lemon. Lemon announced news on Twitter saying he was informed by his agent that he was being terminated. I'm stunned, Lemon wrote, after 17 long years. He didn't say that, but I'm adding that. 17 years at CNN. I would have thought someone in management would have the decency to tell me directly. Now, that's his pietness, because Don Lemon reeks with pettiness and piety. So he's highly upset. I'm highly upset. I'm stunned. I'm stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. The nerve. You don't have the guts. You don't have the ovaries or balls sack. The decency to tell me directly. In a tweet, CNN refuted Lemon's account as inaccurate. The network said he was offered a chance to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter. Yeah, they called you in the office, bro. Wanted to talk to you. I mean, you knew you was on the chopping block. You knew your ratings went down, and we in the black community and black grass movement saying you next on the chopping block. We predicted Simone Sanders was being used, and they're going to trash her. We predicted that Tiffany Cross was being used, and they're going to trash her. We told Joy Reid that you and Joy, just because you still got your job, don't mean you going to be gone. Melissa House Perry, Cameron Hall, even though she got a new show, We've been telling people this. The moment you try to manipulate and use the black community and you crap on us because we don't go the way your zaddyism think we should go, or the elite in media say we should go. We don't go that way. They're gonna fire you. Look what happened to Roland Martin. Multiple times Roland Martin got in trouble. The debate question was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's interference in election. If anybody need to go to jail, it's that. Can't get enough of that Golden Chris Sugar Bear looking fool. He should be in jail because he interfered in election by providing debate questions, which are part of elections, ahead of schedule. Don Lemon finally got his. CEO Chris Lick said that the network and Lemon have parted ways, according to the memo provided to NBC News on Monday. Don will forever be a part of the CNN family. Really? Don't seem like it. You know what? He's an honorary employee or something? Get out of here. And we thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. The statement said, we wished him well and we will be cheering him on in his future endeavors. Well, you sound like Vince McMahon cutting half of this wrestling roster. Good endeavors. Get out of here with this stuff. Dude, you're fired. We got rid of you. You're too controversial. You know, you said something about women and being in our primes, which actually he did quote it right in Google. It do state women are in their primes from this age to that age. They say men are in their primes from this age to that age. So according to that, he was right. According to that, he said, I may not agree with it, but according to this, you're past your prime. According to this, not saying you can't do the job. That's where he messed up, but you're past your prime. According to this, I don't agree with that, but according to this, you're past your time. That wasn't enough. They still got rid of him. Terminated by CNN. I'm stunned. Let me finish reading this. I would have thought that someone in management have had the decency to tell me directly, and at no time was I ever given an indication that I would not be able to continue to do work. Bruh, they say they called you to the office. I was not told I wasn't able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network. It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to, and he go into detail. Now understand this. Don't stop pulling your black card out now, Don Lemon. It is clear there's some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I work with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them the best. Lemon joined CNN in 2006 after anchoring NBC Chicago and working as a correspondent for NBC News, The Today Show, and NBC Nightly News. Lemon first came under fire on February during the segment of CNN Morning in which he remarked that Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, 51, was no longer in the prime. The comment was made while discussing a suggestion by Haley that candidates over 75 should be subject to mental competency exam. So Nikki Haley was dissing older people, and Don Lemon say you can't be dissing older people because you old yourself. You're not in your prime. Now, according to this, let's see if we can pull this up. A woman's prime. Age of prime. Let's see if they actually got this up here, because he got in trouble just for mentioning this. Oh, they probably changed this now because of that particular controversy. You see? Bottom line, as for having wisdom and verve, the experience to us bothly, most women are in their primes after the age 50. Now they ain't gonna change it now. It wasn't that. It was 35 to 50 something. They just keep changing. Are 30-year-old women past their primes? Stuff like that. What is a woman prime age? 30s and maybe 40s. See, this stuff is already in here. 30s, maybe 40s. Well, I tell you. Well, again, I don't think that was it. I think that did cause some controversy, and people get caught up in their feelings. And he was just quoting what was already quoted online. He didn't say, I personally believe. But I personally believe this particular interview was the last straw for Don Lemon. Let's go listen to it.
Joining us now, a frequent guest on Fox News, Republican presidential candidate and tech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. So we are happy to.
So you got an immigrant who came to this country, or parents probably came to this country with $5 in dream, who looks down on black people because they've been in this country and they had $5 and they had a dream, but are considered lazy because they didn't do what he needed to do. So you got these people, they come into the country, they get wealthy, and they look at black people like, what's your problem? The problem is, bruh, you got the chance to come to the greatest country in the world financially with $5 in a dream, and you had the entire government to back you up. Every time we had $5 in a dream, we built great businesses. We built great infrastructure. We had built great neighborhoods without any help from white society. And they took that. And we had to fight to push it where it's kind of hard for them to take that. So now when you come into this country, you automatically get to prosper of what we fought so hard for. You got a head start. A head start. You don't have to go through what we had to go through. They still trying to do redlining, and they still trying to mess with the redistricting. They still are denying us from abilities to get license in this industry and that industry. The black race should be number one and open up CBD in these dispensaries. Number one. Who's number one in New York, right? Asians. And when I say Asians, I mean Indians and Arabs, mostly Arabs. You go to New York and you look at the weed dispensary and the weed, because they got weed bodega, CBD bodega, where they got chips with CBD in, soda with CBD in, bubblegum with CBD in. You go into all these places, mostly ran by Arabs. Arabs got a chance to pool their money and come down here and open up one of these businesses. They fast track them to license. Black people have to wait, go through long interrogations and backgrounds and all that before they get a license. And before you know it, we're at 10-1 on the businesses like that, or any businesses. So this guy got a chance to profit off that. Listen to him. He's running for president. You think I want this fool to be president?
To have you. I'm going to talk to you more than just about Fox News, but good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be
here.
here.
What do you make of this decision to settle this case?
I mean, it strikes me as a cost of doing business. If you're going to be a news network, I think it's happened to CNN. I think it's happened to a lot of news networks.
That has not
It's a cost of doing
CNN.
business.
It's not happened to CNN. This is
Never.
Taking a pot shot. Taking a pot shot. This guy, man, you talking about Donald Trump. This guy, I can deal with, we black people have been known to deal with bigot white presidents. We find a way to really work around them or over them or through them. We find a way. But dealing with a guy like this, a $5 in the dream guy.
Been sued for defamation, never been actually settled.
This is the largest
it's definitely
in
large,
history.
and Fox appears to have the largest viewership and the market capitalization. So I'm not familiar with the details of this case. I'm actually more interested in issues relating to this country than disputes with media companies. But I will say that it strikes me that from
But you're
CNN
not familiar,
to Fox
honest,
News.
you're not familiar with the case. You're not familiar with the lies about the 2020 election, about the election being stolen, that Dominion was somehow, fixing the votes. I mean, that's why they $787.5 million. You're not familiar with that? And you're running for president?
The details of a private dispute between a commercial dispute and the details of what the dollar figures are, that's not where I spend. That's really not where I spend my time. But what I will say is, look, there's defamation cases. People settle businesses. If you settle business disputes, Fox settled this one. It's actually not, I think, the pressing issue for the nation of what Fox News' settlement is.
I disagree with that because as you just admitted, you said Fox is the largest viewership, one of the largest viewerships among television networks, and especially cable networks, considering.
Now, it's kind of hard to break this one down. He knows about this doggone suit. This man is lying. And this man is wealthy. And he throws his money around like it's a form of power to him. Now, Don Lemon is rich. Don't get me wrong, but he ain't that rich. Now you got this man going up against a rich man going up against a very wealthy man, a black gay man going against a straight, I believe he's straight, Arab guy or Indian guy who wants to be the next president of the United States, who money is long, who have invested in various companies, and some of these companies actually are the sponsors of this network. But let me keep going.
The American people who are tuning in to Fox News to get their information and to get it accurately, I'm surprised that you would say that you're not concerned about this and this is not something that is hugely pressing for the American people.
Here's the way I look.
Now, Don Lemon, you can't talk about somebody tuning in and getting the news accurately. You guys are one of the most inaccurate news companies on the face of this planet. Get out of here.
Freedom of the press is the First Amendment in the Constitution.
Oh, exactly. You nailed it. The freedom of the press. So we have CNN, we have Fox. I'm here with you guys. I go on Fox News. I think that's great that we have a marketplace of ideas in this country. What I worry more about, Don, is the trend that we see in this country to controlling what different parties are actually able to say. The American way to bad speech is more speech. And so I think we need to actually embrace that culture and a more diverse marketplace of ideas.
Now, I agree with Ramaswamy on that point again. This is the only thing they can use. They want to use this as a tool to gain votes. I don't want people doing that. I don't want no political pundit doing that to gain ratings. I don't want no wealthy elite person doing that, whatever. I don't want that. But clearly this guy does that to get a vote. No, free speech is not a voting issue. It's just the point that it is part of our fabric of this nation. It shouldn't be a part of a political talking point. It shouldn't. We shouldn't even be discussing this. Why is this part of getting the vote out?
That's something we haven't done well enough in this country.
With all honesty, you're not answering the question. You're giving us platitudes about...
I'm actually unsure what your question is, Don. Do you want somebody to bash Fox News on CNN?
No, I'm not asking you to bash Fox. I'm not asking you to bash Fox News. I'm asking you to be honest.
You are
about what happened on Fox News, about the lies that were told, and them having to admit the lies and paying the largest defamation settlement to a media.
You guys been telling lies since 2012. You ramped up your lies in 2016. This whole Russia gate has been proven to be a fallacy, a lie. A few people that probably live in Russia don't equal to being the Russia government. Some of these hacks that's been taking place took place right here in the United States, and we're blaming that on Russia. So we come up with these Russian Red Scare, these lies, propaganda, the United States doing this thing, and the mainstream media like CNN, MSNBC pushed this. I didn't hear Fox push it as much, but these major networks, CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and all points in between, but even been pushing this mess. Even your lefty media, like the news, Real News and all that, they were pushing that, and Amy, whatever her name, they were pushing that crap too.
Media company in history, and you are a frequent guest on that network. Are you concerned about the credibility? Are you going to continue to go on that network even with those credibility issues?
I have far more concerns with the credibility of what we will call the mainstream media than I do with the credibility of Fox News. But
Fox is the mainstream media.
At the end of the day, what I say is, look, neither you nor I know the details because they settled it before it went to trial. I think the obsession over this is a little weird.
Listen,
it's a little bizarre.
I don't want to get into that.
There's real issues to talk about in the country. Why are we talking about Fox News and the settlement?
This is a very big and important story. And I'm not going to...
So what Don Lemon is doing, he's trying to press this guy to really, really crap on Fox News, not knowing that not many days hence, CNN is going to crap on him. Oh, the irony.
Much more that we want to talk
I think we should.
About But we will get there when we're ready to get there. We have you on to talk about these issues. This is a very important issue, and it should not be downplayed. This has to do with American democracy and Americans learning the truth about what happened in the 2020 election.
You want to know?
You don't think that's important?
I hear a lot about
comparing it to CNN is not this apples and oranges. It's not the same thing.
Well, it's different networks. Yes, apples aren't the same as oranges. You get one view through CNN, you get a
Both on
different view
fruits,
through Fox
man,
News.
like you.
I think that's good in our marketplace of ideas is that we have media that offers diverse perspectives. And you want to talk about threats to our democracy? One of the threats, and that phrase is an interesting one, threats to our democracy. I think one of the biggest ones is the chilling effect on speech in our country more broadly, where if somebody says something that a broad segment of the population or certain people in the government disagree with, there's an increasing trend in our country to silence that. And the answer to bad speech and alleged misinformation is not less speech. It is more speech in the marketplace of ideas. That's actually what a free press really means.
We're going to move on, but your answer was good, but it's not about what's actually happened. It's not relevant to what's happening. I think the answer to what happened at Fox News is to tell the truth.
Bro, what he just said, Don Lemon, this is one reason why Don was let go. What he just said is more important than the Dominion lawsuit. The Dominion lawsuit is not part of our Constitution. The Dominion lawsuit is somebody lying about some voting machines. When there's some truth behind the so-called lie behind the voting machine, they are not trustworthy. This man is saying, look, I'm running for president. You ain't gonna win, but I'm running for president, and these are one of my issues. Free speech. Free speech should be one of the major things that we fight for. Now, number one to me, reparation for black people. That's just it. I'm not getting off that horse. And you're not going to tell me you need to put that down and stop free speech. You're not going, or put that down and focus on protecting whistleblowers. You don't get to tell me to do that. I am concerned about free speech. I am concerned about whistleblowers, but that's not my major concern. And that's not where all my energy gonna go, whether you like it or not. My energy is going right where it's supposed to go. Now, if you want to speed up the process I'm dealing with that, your energy need to come over here. My energy is not leaving here to go over there.
Media companies are tasked with telling the truth. That did not happen in this situation, and that's why we're asking you these questions. But let's move on.
Let's talk more about a diverse exchange of ideas. That's what I'm in for. Thank you.
Glad you're here this morning. Your campaign slogan is a new American dream, and I was reading through your platform last night. I wonder what you would do specifically to actually bring us together, not just Republicans and Democrats. What does unity look like to you, Vivek, for rich and poor, for rural and urban, for Republicans and Democrats?
That is the right question to be asking. And I think the main divide in this country, and I say this to conservative audiences equally, is not between Republicans and Democrats. It is between those of us who are pro-American, embracing the ideals that set this country into motion, and I think an increasing strain in this country that is anti-American, that wishes to apologize for a nation founded on those ideals.
Now, what is pro-American to you, bruh? What is pro-American? To me, the American dream, your ancestors came to learn the American dream. They wasn't born or raised up building the American dream. And for somebody like this guy to come and separate those who are complaining about the dishonesty and the lack of equality in the American dream, he's going to paint them as people anti-American.
But that's not a 50-50 split. I think most people are in the pro-American camp. And one of the ways they would say we get to national unity.
You reject compromise.
I reject compromising on our principles. Actually, the radicalism of the American ideals themselves. We celebrate our diversity and differences. I'm glad we have some 3 different shades of melanin on this set right now, 2 different genders. That's fine. But what I say is, so what that diversity is meaningless unless there's something greater that binds us together, that unites us across that diversity. And I'm running for president to revive those ideals that bind us together across our diverse attributes.
All right, so we got a candidate, and I'm supposed to be talking about one of the reasons why Don Lemon got fired. So here we are. We got a candidate who wants to push Super American. He wants to push the American Resolve. American or die, and he wants to determine, he wants to tell you what being a pro-American is. And he wants to tell you if you complain anything about America, you're not pro-American. How you say that, dude? I have complaints in my family, but that don't mean I'm not pro my family. I have complaints on my job, don't mean I don't love my job. You're anti this, you're anti. I have complaints about my church. Don't mean I don't love my church. I might have complaints about my pastor. Don't mean I don't love my pastor. But it's a person like this. You got to watch guys like this. He's the type of person who will say, if you got anything negative to say about this country, if you got any kind of complaints, or if you want to rally against what we represent, then we got a problem with you. No, bruh. We will never get to that super America or that pro America until we deal with some of these things that's going on, which you are the type of person to ignore, to blow off. And we're not going to allow people like you to blow off. And that's why your butt won't be no president.
I want to get into a few issues, one of them being China. Before I get to China, I just want to better understand something you said this week speaking before the audience at the NRA. Here's what you said, referring to back to 1865. Here it was.
I want you to raise your hand if you know when the first anti-gun laws were passed in this country. Raise your hand if you do. 1865. You want to know when it happened? We fought a civil war in this country.
We. I love it when people who lineage came from another country can say we when it comes to 1800s. No, your we didn't start to about 1920 and beyond, man. Wasn't that many of you here in the United States? So go with this we stuff. We. I identify with Americans' history. I'm American now. So that history is my history. No, it's not, bruh. It's not. We. Your family was probably in India somewhere. We in 1800s. Now we, Native Americans, white settlers, and African slaves, we were here. So folks, understand that when people start making talks like that, man, I'm like, yo, man, sit your butt down, man. Can't talk about this stuff. You were not here. You can't make no comments on something like this, man. Shut up. Stand your ground. Sit your butt down. We.
To give black Americans the equal protection under the law that we failed to secure them in 1776.
And you still
But then you want to know what happened? Southern states passed anti-gun laws that stopped black people from owning guns. The Democrat Party then, as in now, wanted to put them back in chains.
Now here you go with this foolishness. Ronald Reagan, super Republican himself, was hard on the Black Panthers taking up arms. Don't, it's a politician like this, man, that makes me, you ain't gonna do this, and I'm not gonna let you do this, man. Stop saying it was the Democrats. We Republicans, we allowed this stuff. We empowered black people to do this and this and that. No, you didn't. You want to point the finger at Democrats, and Democrats trying to point the blame on you, and both of you are indicted. Both of you were not kind to us unless there was something in it for you. I'm not going to let you sit here and do that and point the finger at the Democrats without pointing the finger at you too. Are you freaking kidding me? Bro, your lineage probably didn't get here until the 1900s. You're gonna make a comment about what happened when back then, when in the 1600s? Man, shut up.
Then, as in now, that's quite an accusation about the current Democratic Party. Who and what were you referring to?
I was referring to Joe Biden and his expression of wanting to put them back in chains, dating back to Lyndon Johnson. I think Lyndon Johnson's so-called Great Society was one of the greatest misnomers in American political history, where even back then in the 1960s, 70...
Lyndon Baines Johnson, Mr. Bigot himself, who hated Dr. King, who wished John F. Kennedy was still alive just for Dr. King. Get out of here, man.
30% plus of black kids were born into two-parent homes. Today, that number is less than 30% in the opposite direction.
Now,
the very policies that we implemented in this country in the name of helping black Americans have actually been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans. And I think that that's something that we need to wake up to.
In 1864.
Now, this is where things are going to get heated between him and Don Lemon. Now, look, I agree. Even though I'm not a Muslim, even though I don't subscribe to a lot of Elijah Muhammad's teaching, there's some of it I do because it's basic common sense. Before before integration, we had our own neighborhoods again. We were building our own ever since the Civil War. It's just that white society found a way to tear it down. And then we have to keep building over and over again. And we're on this treadmill. And that's the reason why you could come here and do it, because they won't put you on that treadmill. But we stayed on the treadmill because every time we build something, we got to take it away from us. Elijah Muhammad wanted to just say, hey, forget it. Let's find our own land and let's start our own country here in the United States. Of course, they weren't going to let that happen. We built everything. We had our own everything, banks and everything. Families were together. We didn't allow the government to try to manipulate our women to not marry the men in order to get money for welfare. We didn't push the men to marry the women so they won't get on welfare. Lyndon Baines' policy saying you can't have a man in the household if you're going to get this public assistance. And believe me, you're going to get this every month. You don't even have to work yourself to a bone. But before that, women had to go out there and work, even the unwed women who had children. There was no food stamps and all that kind of stuff. Well, let me get back to this. He's right in the sense, but he's wrong in a whole lot of things.
You're talking about the black codes, right?
That's right.
Passed, enacted to make it a crime for a black person to carry a gun
Exactly.
in the South. But you're equating that to the current president? You're referring to economic chains? What are you saying?
Well, I was referring to Joe Biden's, I think, ill-chosen expression to say they're the party that wants to put you back into chains. What I'm actually saying is that if you look at the policies of the modern Democratic Party.
About Democrats.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is that actually it's policies like that of Lyndon Johnson and Joe Biden that are actually holding black Americans back.
The war on poverty?
Yes, and in particular, his Great Society, where he actually created incentives in the family, where if you're a family, you could actually get more money by not having the father in the home. Guess what you get?
Now, he is absolutely right. I just talked about that. He's right on that. But he is the type of person who just want to give it all, get rid of it. He's not for that. Now, he's saying all these things like he really, really want to help the black community. He don't want to help the black community. He will end up being a brown-faced bigot. All we have to do is look at his policies. He's talking about Joe Biden. He's talking about Lyndon Baines Johnson. But yet his policies are not going to be pro-black policies. I guarantee you that.
You get what you pay for. I think it's been really bad for the black community. I think it's really bad for all Americans.
Do you have anything on this before I move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially and using the Civil War to talk about black Americans. That war was not fought for black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad
but that
part
wasn't
about
fought for black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is, black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Still aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you.
Now, the reason black people was not allowed to enjoy his freedom, it wasn't because of the guns, because we had guns. We had guns. Yet you still let our particular towns on fire. You still dropped gasoline on our buildings and burned them up, even though we had guns. So what that got to do with anything, man? Now, mind you, back in the 60s and 70s when we took up arms, that did put a lot of fear in a lot of people, especially between late 60s and early 70s when the Black Power movement was getting real strong. They started to fear the black man with a gun, and that's where Reagan came, man, with his condescending self. Republican. So what this guy's talking about? This guy is trying to weave a web or paint a picture to try to attract black people and away from the Democratic Party into the Republican Party. And I say don't join either one of them. You need to leave both and make demands and have them come to you and get votes in exchange for fulfilling a demand.
On that, Don, I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned in here that we have three different shades
Don, I think we have to be able
to
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and 1964
equal rights in this country.
Actually, I think it's insulting to black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong.
See, now this is where it's funny. Now you want to stand up for black people. Now you want to stand up for black people. Problem is, your time for standing up for black people, according to them, is wrong. And they're going to start checking them. Just continue to watch.
What part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? That the Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for black people, only for black people to get guns and for black people to have.
The Civil War was fought for black people in this country to get freedoms.
No, it wasn't. The Civil War was fought for territory. It was not fought for black people to get freedom. It was fought for more territory and commerce. It was not fought for black people to get freedom. They didn't ask us to join the war until they started getting their behind whooped. This is what happens when you come to this country and you don't even know the history previous to this country. You only know what the Department of Education taught you, when you need to go deep down into the archives and find out why these battles were fought. You the same person thought the reason we went to Iraq is to free the Iraqi people. No, we went to get that oil, Doc. It was the oil. We had to we get rid of leaders to get their resources. That's why it ain't about freedom and liberty and all that kind of crap.
A noble mission, and I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA, to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a fact.
That's reductive.
It's not
and
reductive,
I think it's
Don.
insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War.
With due respect,
right.
I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to black Americans, to say that black people today, compared to 1964, 18.
How you going to talk about insulting the black people? Right, look, I'm not a fan of Don Lemon, but to sit there as a Indian to say it's insulting the black people to a black man, yeah, I said man. He's a black gay man, but I still say man. To a black man is insulting, dude. Black people, you got to look out for this guy. White people, progressive, whoever you want to say, you need to watch the guy like this. This is the guy that you really, really need to ham on. So a lot of stuff is fabricated. A lot of stuff is making up. He trying to act like he's the wisdom in the room when he's not. He's being very condescending with his whole thing. Even with the point where he is right, he's condescending. The reason why you're in the mess that you're in right now is because the Democratic put all these policies in that allow you to detach yourselves from your family and everything, which is true, but you're using it as a weapon to try to gain power for your team. We wouldn't have did that. We really had your back then. We would have never got rid of that. Folks, man, boy, if you don't sit your behind down, shut up. You didn't have our best interests. We still had to fought for those freedoms. We didn't ask Lyndon Baines Johns to put it there, but at least he did something. You guys wouldn't never did nothing for us. Heck, the Civil War wasn't about freeing the slaves. Get out of here. It became part of that, but we were going to find some way to free ourselves, Civil War or not. Man, there were all kind of revolts going on in the United States, but they don't teach you about that in school. And the only reason we didn't have revolts like Haiti and we didn't have the liberation like a lot of these island countries did, because the landmass of America, it was kind of geographically impossible to get that done like they did it, where you had nowhere to go but drown. And the land wasn't as big. This guy right here, both Don and this guy's a piece of work. Don's going to finally stand up for black people and the black point of view, and the timing is just all wrong. You got a presidential candidate right there who is filthy rich, who has stock in some of these companies that runs these shows.
1965 haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was
Black
part
people,
of what
hang on,
that
please.
freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say
now CNN is talking in his ear, probably tell him, look, man, shut that down, Don. And Don is like, no, I can't. Now he's stepping on blackness right now. And I'm a black man. I don't care if this is my job. I'm going to finally, after all these years, stand up for black people. After standing up for the LGBT community, going bodyguard hard all day, every day, I think it's time for me to finally take 30 seconds and stand up for black people.
that black people, say what you said again.
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting.
Dude, we still haven't secured our freedom, man. What are you talking about? How can you talk about what black people have done and you're not black, dude? The nerves of you. The nerves of you. Every black person needs to be getting at this dude. Everybody need to be on this Twitter just going ham on this dude on Twitter. I know I am. I'm gonna be riding this guy like the Lone Ranger on a white horse. I'm gonna be riding this guy hard. For you to say something dumb as that, to the point you really said something dumb when you got Mr. LGBTQ community himself putting his LGBT community stands down and standing up almost like a heterosexual black man. Like, Negro, say that one more time, see, I don't smack the taste out of your mouth, bro. You know, you got my bass coming up in my voice talking all that stuff. You know, I'm about but Don about to go straight, Cali Thug on somebody right now over there. And the news report and his handlers or his bosses are in his ear saying, shut it up, cut it down, cut it, man. Stop.
Reconstruction, you're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to
happen. And you know how they got it?
They
got their Second Amendment rights, and they actually got the NRA played a big role in that. But today, down the
NRA did not play a big role in that.
Absolutely, they trained black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie.
The NRA did not do that, idiot. We had our own gun clubs. We taught ourselves how. Where this guy's getting his lies from, man? I don't know how I'm gonna title this. It's supposed to be about Don Lemon getting fired, but it's really talking about the foolishness that this man is talking about. Even Donald Trump know better than to say stupid stuff like this. This guy just making up lies and trying to make it a talking point, and these people, white people in the Republican Party, will sit there and believe that, like they believe anything else that somebody with a red tie would say, instead of challenging it to see if it's true.
The NRA did not play a big role.
This is just historical fact.
But not historical fact.
The part that I
just
find,
because you say it's historical fact,
the part that I find insulting is when you say today black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have
the
a different point of view.
Black and white that black people don't have. And
look, guys, understand this. I'm not gay. I love women. I love them. Whoo, I love them. I cannot talk about what a gay person goes through because I'm not gay. I can't talk about their experience. I can't talk about the experience. I can't talk about the experience of a Polynesian Asian person, what they go through. I can't talk about that. I can't talk about the experience of a white guy. I'm not a white guy. I can go by what I see, but I can't go by what that guy actually went through personally. I can't talk about the experience of a Jewish community other than what I've seen. I can't talk as a person within the Jewish community being a Jewish person. I can't. For this person to sit here and try to talk about black experience and what black people been through and blickety black and black, like he really ride or die for black people, like he black, like he got some kind of black girlfriend and his kids are black and he's a little black himself. This dude, this is very insulting, very condescending, to the point he got Don Lemon stepping up, challenging this guy. And this actually probably was one of the reasons why I lost this job. Because this guy pockets are deep and is wide and long, and it can reach over into CNN. Again, CNN was looking for a reason to get rid of Don Lemon, just like they always look for a reason to get rid of some black person. They hide black person, they replace them with a lot of more white women and Latinos. You very rarely gonna see a black person replace another black person these days. You're very rarely. And look, I'm a person who your job, whoever gets the job is based on ability, not their color. Okay, you know how to get the job done, get it done. I'd rather have Don Lemon out of CNN where he can't be a damage to the black community by undermining us with his talking points on TV. He may be better off where he at right now. But the nerves, this guy, Don Lemon, had to get chewed out by the people in his ear on this day because the presidential candidate goes on TV talking about his vision for America, and he invoked black people, black people, black people, black people, black people. He ain't talking about Asians. He ain't talking about Hispanics. He talk about black people, black people, black people, black people. The reason he's on CNN, because he probably figured a lot of black people watch CNN, and I'm trying to get some black votes, so I got to let them know they did this to you. We would have never did this to you. We know you would have never did this to us. That's a problem too.
In this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a black man,
that
but
you're
me regarding
here,
you as a fellow citizen.
That you're
That's
sitting
what I think
here,
we should see.
whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black.
Whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
The content of the
ideas. If you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay, but we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation. Thank you.
Now, I'm done. The nerves of this guy. Indian American family probably didn't get here to probably didn't get here to after World War II. Quite sure if I do the history, it's probably true. Family get here after World War II. He went to school and learned some Department of Education, and probably some collegiate education which is still tied up to the Department of Education. Probably never went to a Bethune-Cookman, or not Bethune-Cookman, but Morris House or some black colleges where he could learn at least a hint of real black history, some historical black college, which don't teach that much true black history either. This guy comes on CNN in hopes of telling his vision to the country. Yes, he's right about free speech, but yeah, he's going to use that free speech to tie in to say I should be able to talk about the black community as an American. Matter of fact, we should be able to discuss these issues American upon the Americans, not Indian American versus black American. No, bro, when it comes to black issues, it's not just America no more, man. We're talking about black America right now. You're talking about my community and what my community need and don't need, and what my community went through and didn't go through, and how the government did something for my community and probably didn't do. You coming over here talking about that. You're not talking about what they did for your community. You're trying to school me on what this government done for my community, and you're trying to be the authority piece on that knowledge, and you're not, bruh. The nerves of you. Now, this ticked Don Lemon so much that he got pissed off, and they got in his ear telling him he needed to cut that down. Now, I honestly think, even though Don Lemon had his issues and he was on the chopping block, I think this was the interview that did it. We got a presidential candidate to come on TV to show his vision for America. He's claiming he's trying to reach out to Democrats and Republicans. And he's trying to bring it to the middle. Let's give him that opportunity to talk about that. Are you against Trump? Where's those questions? No, this guy went and talked about freedom of speech, which he should. But he want to talk about Super America and how these individual views are dividing America. We should have one world view or one American view. That's going to make this country great. Anything that goes against it is bad for this country, and we got to get rid of it. So if you're talking about reparation, if you're talking about black inequality and things like that, that's bad. This guy didn't mention anything about his own people. He didn't mention anything about the Hispanics and the Latinos and immigration. He didn't mention nothing, none of that. He immediately went over to blackness. And Don challenged him for the lies he told on my people. First time in history, Don Lemon turned into a little bit of Malcolm X, fighting against. Nah, I wouldn't even go that far. Don Lemon allowed some of his melanin to get extra chocolatey and stand up for black people for a few seconds to challenge a person bigoted thinking, because that's bigoted thinking. For you to think you know more about black history and the black resolve and the black struggle and what was good for black people, what wasn't good for black people, for you to think you know more than me, and I'm black, is very racist and very condescending. And I think that particular interview was the one that got Don Lemon knocked out the box. Now I'm done. I want to thank you for attending the Bobby Brown Show. Those are two news stories today. I'm going to be using the other channel to go more into my Rumble channel to go more into, or my BitChute channel to go more into detail on stuff that's controversial. I really want to talk about this. How should I? What would you like for me to address you as? I think we need to talk about that, because some people get real aggressive about how you address them. And at the end of the day, you're a human being, and you're no different from me. I can't say sir, I can't say ma'am no more. So I've resorted to saying client or customer because I can't please everybody. My mouth is not going to please everybody. My thinking is not going to please everybody. I have my own thinking. I'm not going to think like you. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. I'm not going to believe like you. Sometimes I may, sometimes I won't. I'm not going to operate like you because I'm not you. So don't get mad at me because I don't see you the way you see you. I'm not going to get mad at you because you don't see me the way I see me. That is selfish. It's ignorant. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about on my other channel. Life issues. This is news, politics, life issues on the other channel that do affect our everyday lives. I'm going to talk about some work from home opportunities. Try to put your own game on some jobs that's available where you can work at home, legitimate jobs, major corporation. Talk about businesses you can start. I mean, I want to talk about more than just news and politics. And I also want to talk about personal development, becoming a better you, and not letting this world and the news describe you, who you really are. You're much more bigger than what you're seeing and hearing outside of here. The world is much more bigger than what you're hearing and see. There's nothing we can do to really destroy this earth. This earth was here before we got here. And this earth going to be here long when we gone. So the point is us, not the earth. And we need to do something about making sure we have long life as well as this earth have long life. And we can't let politics always be first and foremost in running our lives today. I'm Bob Brown with the Bob Brown Show. I'll holler at you later. Peace.